Central Minnesota Sports Hub. It's the Morning Sports Desk, presented by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and streaming on YouTube.
It is the Morning Sports Desk on a Monday, the 10th of February. I'm CJ Baumgartner. There is Corey Tackman on a post-Super Bowl Monday as we try and get back into the week and realize that football will not be on our televisions for quite some time. I don't quite count the USFL or the XFL or UFL or whatever they call it now. That's
any of the other FLs.
Yeah. F the FLs, I guess, is the tone here. But that's gone. Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade brings you today's episode of the Morning Sports Desk. Corey, we got high school sports that are still in full swing and a little doubleheader, a rivalry doubleheader tonight on the Fan.
Big rivalry tonight. Really looking forward to it. A girls-boys basketball doubleheader from the Nest in Staples. Staples-Motley Cardinals host the Pillager Huskies. First up is the girls' game scheduled for a 5:45 pregame and a 6 o'clock tip-off tonight on AM 1430 and 98.5 FM. The Fan. Staples-Motley 2-18 on the year. They're 0-13 in Heart of Lakes Conference play. They're 0-1 in Section 7 AA play. Their lone win came against Verndale back on January 16th, about a month ago. Barnesville is the top team in the Heart of Lakes Conference, followed by DGF, Pelican Rapids, Breckenridge, Perham, Frazee, Holly, Park Rapids area, and then Staples-Motley. Pillagers in the Park Region Conference, they're 6-14. Overall, they're 4-8 in PRC play, but they're 0-3, looking for their first section victory this season. They are 6th in the PRC. Monaga tops there. New York Mills and Wadena Deer Creek are 2nd. Then Bertha Hewitt, Sabika, followed by Pillager at 6, with Henning 7 and Verndale 8. Both teams are in Section 7 AA. Crosby Ironton is the top team in that section. Pillager is ranked 13th. Staples-Motley is ranked 15th out of the 16 teams in that section. The boys will follow with roughly a 7:30, 7:45 start time. To be fair, it's probably going to be closer to that 7:45, maybe even 8 o'clock start time tonight, CJ. It is parents' night tonight at Staples-Motley, and I have heard rumors that the dance team is going to go in between the girls and boys game as well. So
play-by-play of that too.
They've got some extra festivities going on for the evening. I wouldn't know how to do play-by-play for dance unless it's nothing but shuffling off to Buffalo. I could do that. Beautiful arabesque from the second row. Oh, the timed jumps from rows 3 and 4 in particular, top notch. That's what's
now. They're jumping. They're moving to the right. They're moving to the left. Oh my goodness.
So it's going to be a busy night. The girls play first. Again, the boys will follow. And normally you'd say like a half an hour start time following the conclusion of the previous game. That's not necessarily going to be the case. Anyway, Staples-Motley boys are 11-8 overall. They're 5-6 in Heart of Lakes play, 1-2 in Section 7 AA play. The Cardinals are 5th in the Heart of Lakes Conference standings, which means they've got 4 teams on either side of them. DGF, Perham, Pelican Rapids, and Barnesville are teams 1 through 4. Park Rapids area, Breckenridge, Holly, and Frazee are teams 6, 7, 8, and 9. The Pillager Huskies are 13-7 overall. They're 10-2 in PRC play and 3-3 in Section 7 AA play. They're 2nd in the PRC. Henning is the top team, followed by Pillager with that 10-2 conference record. Both teams in Section 7 AA, obviously. Staples-Motley is the 4th ranked team in the section so far. Pillager right in the middle at 8 of 16. The QRF's value of 52 and 70 for the boys teams there for the Cardinals and Huskies respectively. So again, the girls go first, 5:45 pregame, 6 o'clock tip. The boys will follow sometime thereafter. Both games tonight on AM 1430 and 98.5 FM, The Fan.
Find the full broadcast schedule, by the way, online at WadenaRadio.com. And speaking of that, Corey, if you go to WadenaRadio.com or the Superstation K106 mobile app, you can find a little more information about a special broadcast we got going on tomorrow.
Yes, indeed. State Unified Special Olympics basketball tomorrow from the Target Center. We will be there to cover the Monaga Braves as they take on Bemidji in the first game of the tournament, set to tip off at 1:30. Our pregame coverage goes live at 1 on 105.9 FM, the Superstation K106, the Superstation K106 app, and WadenaRadio.com. If Monaga loses, they'll play again in that third place game at 3:50. If they win, they'll play for the championship at 5. We've mentioned it before. It's worth mentioning again. We are the first radio broadcast ever at the Unified Special Olympics State Basketball Tournament. Not just the first broadcast for us, the first broadcast ever, all time. Nobody's ever been there. We are so excited to be a part of this tomorrow. So that's at the Target Center and the Superstation. Again, those details at WadenaRadio.com also.
And by the way, tomorrow we are going to have a special interview dropping, talking with Coach Isaiah Hahn and talking with some of the kids as well on that team. And it's really awesome. We have a couple sneak previews that you can find on the Hubbard Radio-Wadena YouTube page, where you can watch the morning sports desk, or you can go to Sports Cow. Can I get a moo, Corey?
Moo.
On Facebook, we've released a couple of reels there with a little sneak previews of the interviews, and Monaga Schools has shared it and kind of put it out there too. And just share it, spread the word, and let some of these kids get to tell their stories. It's pretty awesome. And we have that there on Sports Cow on Facebook for you to find. And full interview with those kids and with Coach Hahn dropping tomorrow on the morning sports desk. So be ready for that, because that was a really fun to get to record. And so go listen to that. All right, Corey, we got a lot more to talk about. We have some Wolves ownership updates coming later today. We also are going to do a little Super Bowl debriefing and an Immaculate grid because it's a Monday. Before we dive into all that, why don't we thank the good folks who make the morning sports desk happen, because it's powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena.
Yesterday was a perfect day to celebrate National Pizza Day during the Super Bowl. Are you kidding me? Is there a more obvious food choice for the big game than a big pizza pie from the Pizza Ranch? And they're looking for your favorite pizza combinations, whatever it may be. CJ, I'll say it right now. I've said it before. I'll say it again. My favorite pizza at the Pizza Ranch is whatever comes with the stuffed crust. Stuffed crust and a little pepperoni, maybe a little pepperoni and sausage, something like that. Put a little meat on there, I guess, is my main priority when it comes to pizza selection. How about you? What's your top choice? I go with the stuffed crust. What do you think?
Really anything with meat on the pizza. So the Bronco is just...
Ooh, yes.
Yes, that's my go-to.
So celebrate National Pizza Day every day with the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena, proudly presenting, we hope, once again, the morning sports desk.
All right, Corey. So before we get into some Super Bowl debriefing, the Wolves ownership dispute is going to come to a head today. There's a 3-person arbitration panel that's going to levy its decision on behalf of either Glen Taylor or Mark Laurie and Alex Rodriguez. Of course, remember, just a little info, the Wolves were up for sale a few years ago by Glen Taylor, A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez, and Mark Laurie put in a bid to buy the team. And the way it was structured, because those guys didn't have a ton of liquid capital at the time, was, treat it like a lease to own. You just make a payment. You make 3 payments you make a payment every year for 3 years. So 3 payments you make. And on the 3rd payment, you slowly buy more ownership of the team. And then when you get that final 3rd payment, you become majority owners, acting owners, like you are the controlling stake. Glen Taylor's not in control anymore. And it's like a lease to own. So if for whatever reason they couldn't pay it or make the money on the deadline, then it's like a lease to own, and just all goes back to the old owner, and that money just kind of goes right into his pocket. And Glen Taylor sold the Wolves when they were at a pretty low point. That was before Anthony Edwards had taken off. They hadn't made the playoffs in a few years. The team was kind of middle in. Like, there was a lot of mess going on. They just fired Gerson Rosas. for improper conduct on the job. And Glen Taylor was getting out, selling the team. And then by the time that the sale was about to become finalized with the final payment, the Wolves had made the playoffs a couple times. They were in the middle of their most successful regular season in franchise history. They were going to make a playoff run that only the 04 Wolves can say is like on level with. And Glen Taylor realized, well, this team is way more valuable now than it was 4 years ago. Can I get out of this deal? And he's trying to get out of the deal, and either to become the controlling owner again or just to sell at a higher clip, because, Glen Taylor's got to make sure he's got enough money to retire for the rest of his life. But that's kind of where things are set. A-Rod and Laurie claim that they have the money, claim that they were ready to make the payment, and Glen Taylor is pulling the rug out. Taylor is saying, hey, look, they don't have the money, so I'm sorry, yank. And we're going to see this is going to court. It's taken over a year, and we're going to see today likely who ends up getting this controlling stake. There's really not a lot of speculation. Some people are leaning towards Laurie and Rodriguez. I don't know if that's just because they have better PR, but it feels like it's just Glen Taylor kind of making a Hail Mary to keep this team.
Okay, if you don't know the answer to these questions, it's totally fine. But I do have a few questions.
Sure.
First of all, you said it's a 3-person panel. Who is the panel? Is this just lawyers? Is this
is a judge? I believe, like, they're going to court to get it settled. Like, so this is like a judge. Yeah. Okay.
So then what's next? Give me the two paths here. They decide in favor of Glen Taylor. In your own words, 60 seconds or less, what does that mean for the Timberwolves?
So if they go in the direction of Glen Taylor, a couple things could happen. One could be that Laurie and Rodriguez, I don't know if there's some kind of like appeal, like appellate process where you appeal the decision as one last gasp to keep the team. Either that or they give up, and Glen Taylor is once again acting owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves like every fan would want. And either he keeps the team for the rest of his life or he sells it at like a 50% markup on what he was going to sell it for.
$1 billion more. Okay, so Laurie and A-Rod, the arbitration panel favors in favor of them, rules in favor of them. Is it done? Are they the new owners, or is there again appeal? Let's assuming that appeals are always going to be a part of this. What is the next? Are they the owners of the team?
They're in. Yeah, they're in. They've crossed the finish line. They've passed go. They collect the $200, and in this case, the $200 is the deed to own the Minnesota Timberwolves and to be the quote unquote governors. That's the term they use in the NBA. To be the governors of the team, and then they're in control. And then Kevin Garnett's jersey can finally hang from the rafters.
Gosh dang it! Please, can we please let that happen?
Please.
If nothing else, that's why I want them to be the owners.
Right. You can tell Kevin Garnett's pretty confident. He once again had his most recent tirade against Glen Taylor over the weekend. So
good.
He feels pretty confident that the A-Rod and Laurie are going to get it. And
a old tweet from him, isn't it?
Remember when the Wolves were up for sale first off, and Garnett's like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm going to get a group together. We're going to try and buy the Wolves. And, me and Glen Taylor, we'll make a relationship work. We can do it. And then Glen Taylor's like, I'm not selling the team to you. And immediately he's like, Glen Taylor is a snake and I hate him and I hope he dies. And like, paraphrasing a little bit, but that was the general tone of that.
The two people in life that you cannot make mad are billionaires and ballers from Chicago. Like, those are the two. They're designed to be mortal enemies. You know what I mean?
They got spite in their hearts, man. They like
every once in a while I come across a KG video of him, in his podcast or being interviewed or whatever it is. And that guy is quite possibly one of the most likable people to have ever existed. And maybe one of the most intimidating ever.
Uh-huh. Well, first of all, he's like 7 feet tall.
Yeah, I mean, he comes at you at 7 feet tall, and he doesn't mince words.
No.
It's the scariest thing ever. But the second you figure out if he likes you or not, and if he likes you, man, it's got to be the best.
And if he doesn't like you, there's no making it up. You're done.
Then you're done. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So that it'll be exciting to see. I don't know if exciting is the right word. It'll be interesting to see what happens here at some point by the end of today. We should know, huh?
we should know who the Timberwolves owners will be. I got John Krasinski of the Athletics notifications turned on Twitter.
On Shams too.
Yeah, because it's ready to roll. He thought trade deadline season meant his job was over. Did Shams? Nope. He's got to clock in an overtime shift for the Wolves ownership dispute. Somebody had a meme of the remember Kevin Garnett getting ready for Game 7, and he was talking about getting his clips early. He's like talking about loading up to get ready. Somebody said said prepping for the Wolves ownership announcement tomorrow, and it's just quoted, and it says, "I'm just loading up drafts, a couple memes. I got a Photoshop with a couple faces. I'm ready for war.
Let's go."
The memes will be excellent, no matter what. We look forward to those. Okay, so one more thing before we get into our Immaculate Grid Monday. The Super Bowl was yesterday, and the game was possibly the worst since the Seahawks-Broncos drubbing that took place about 11 years ago. So
I don't remember that one. That's a good one. I was thinking about the Buccaneers and the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
San Francisco beat up on San Diego when I was growing up. I mean, I was young, probably like second or third grade, whatever. Those were the blowouts I could immediately remember as I was watching that game.
I mean, the Broncos-Panthers Super Bowl wasn't close, but it was a little more competitive than that because the Broncos offense just couldn't do anything. So it was just kind of field goal into submission. So like it was technically close, even if the game never felt close. You'd also think about Patrick Mahomes playing Tampa Bay in 2021, that Super Bowl. It was pretty much the same script. The Eagles just did them a little worse in that game. But that was also the same case. And Mahomes ran for his life, threw a bunch of picks, and they just got down early and never could catch up. So there have been a few, but it hasn't. The biggest thing in the 21st century has been the Super Bowls, by and large, are almost always instant classics. And since the 2000s reigned, and this
was an instant snoozer. It was a really boring football game.
Really awful. The Chiefs did nothing of value for really any part of the game up until garbage time. There wasn't a ton of big highlight plays other than Cooper DeJean making an interception and running back for a touchdown.
The stats around that was amazing, right? He's the second player ever to score a touchdown on his birthday in the Super Bowl. And the last guy was, I think, a Philadelphia guy in like the 40s or something.
Yeah.
And then it was his birthday. It was his first ever touchdown. And then obviously it was a pick six, which is pretty sweet. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't know if he returned it for a touchdown though. I think he fair caught it at like the 40.
Yeah, I thought he was waving his arms, flailing in the end zone.
He's got to know the rule book. I'm sorry.
The highlight for Kansas City, Mahomes threw the ball like what appeared to be 75 yards for a touchdown in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Balls. He threw that such a long ways.
That was just him like exuding a little energy, like a little frustration, like just flicking that thing.
He was running for his life in that game.
And it's not like the Eagles were blitzing, by the way. That's a Vic Fangio defense. That is what the Donachelle defense in its purest form was supposed to be. You rush four, and everybody else sits back in coverage, and our four guys are going to beat the rut. Like, they're going to win their battles and get there, and Jalen Carter up the middle was just wreaking havoc. The Eagles edge rushers were like, they were rushing four. The Chiefs had six back to block, and they still made Mahomes run for his life. That was how incredible. And then Mahomes would throw the ball, and he'd have to throw it into traffic every single play.
Well, and Kelsey dropped two right out of the gate. The first one he shouldn't have. I think it might have even been on the first drive.
Yeah.
He had one in it was also in the first half. They were kind of working out of that right end zone.
Mm-hmm.
And it was it wasn't a good throw, but it hit a hand. And like, Kelsey's got two drops. That guy doesn't drop anything. Everything about them was weird. And that is probably a credit to Philadelphia, who was down. It's not like Saquon had a great game.
No.
They killed Kansas City. Just thorough.
Defense took them right out of the game, had a couple backbreak. I mean, that interception right before halftime, and then the Chiefs got a touchdown, or the Eagles got a touchdown, but Mahomes threw like an interception inside their own 20.
Yep.
And it's just like the Eagles got a score right.
That guy's
17-0. And I told to myself, like, theoretically, if Kansas City could get a touchdown before halftime, and then they get the ball to start the second half and they score even a field goal, then it's a one touchdown game in the third quarter. And here we go. We got a game.
It's Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce, and you just can't give them any glimmer of hope.
And then they didn't. They took it. They snatched the glimmer of hope from them, ran down their throats, and then danced on them.
Yep.
Prevent them from getting up. And then they put them in a coffin. They put that coffin in the ground, and then they put cement over the top of that coffin to make sure there was no way that they could zombify themselves up and out of the ground.
Yeah, it was gross, man. It was a gross game.
It's gross to see Philadelphia succeed in anything.
Yep.
But there they go. They're Super Bowl champions. Again, Jalen Hurts, a Super Bowl champion. Nick Sirianni, a Super Bowl champion.
MVP Jalen Hurts, who was awesome.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts is good. Remember, there was during his draft workout, somebody asked if he would switch to running back or do reps at wide receiver or something like that. And he's like, no, I'm a quarterback.
Yep. He was right.
He was right. He's a Super Bowl MVP, makes a bunch of money, and the Eagles are good. And because they've built a really good roster, they've hit on draft picks. They've hit on their free agents. They got A.J. Brown gifted to them by the Titans because they're incompetent. Just a lot of stuff that's worked out well for them. They got Saquon Barkley gift wrapped to them because the Giants are incompetent. They had a bunch of stuff that's gone well, but mainly they've drafted well. They're run very well. The reason they won the Super Bowl this year and the reason they won the Super Bowl in 2018 as well, their rosters were just far and away better than anybody's, and their rosters were so much better that they could overtake the best quarterbacks in the league and win the Super Bowls pretty handily. They trounced Tom Brady in that Super Bowl in Minneapolis. They trounced Patrick Mahomes in this game because their rosters are really good, and their coaching I think is good, but it's very boom or bust. It's very volatile, but
it turns out we talk about coaching all the time. Coaching is fine. Like most of the coaching in the NFL is barring the worst situations.
Right.
Like good coaches, every good coach in the NFL could have coached that team probably to a Super Bowl, I think.
So that's really it on the game. How about the fanfare with the Super Bowl? I think overall it's tough when the game's bad because then you're just out of everything. But overall, Corey, let's kind of just go down the line here. I want to start off with the score bug because it was bad. Like the new Fox graphic that they have to put the score at the bottom of the screen. It was really basic. It was bad. I don't like it. I thought their touchdown, I know that they do a little stuff for the Super Bowl. That New Orleans spicing was fine, but I thought generally it was just a worse version of the graphics package that they already had, which was already good, I thought. But the reason, here's what I think. I think they were going for something here. Either that or I'm an idiot and I'm just speaking something into nothing here, which is probably true. But let me go off. You know how back in the old days when they used to do games, they'd only back before graphics were really a thing. They would just every once in a while flash the score up on the screen just to kind of remind you what it was and stuff like that. And if somebody was being interviewed, they would just flash their name up on the screen, basic text for about 10 seconds, then just have it go away. And that I think is what they were trying to do because everything was as transparent as it could be. Even the graphics, when they had Jalen Hurts interviewed at the end of the game, they didn't have a big box with green behind it and then the white text. It was just the text. So you could see more of what was going on behind the graphic. And I wonder if that's what they were trying to go for is let's have people see more of the game by making our graphics more transparent. I still don't like it, but if that's what they were going for, I'll give them props for trying to do something with it.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't even know it was a thing. And maybe people were complaining about it on social media and that's what made you notice or you noticed on your own. And then whatever you say, man, I have no comment on this because nothing of what you're talking about even stands out to me as a thing that I noticed during the game.
To be fair, the game was also bad, so I had time to notice a lot of things.
That's maybe me. And the game was bad that we had time at our house to do baths and read books and do bedtime and those sorts of things that maybe just
puppy bowl
But yeah, I didn't notice any of that, and I'm not. You're probably not wrong either. That was not a thing that stood out to me even a little.
How about the halftime show? Did that stand out to you?
Yeah, so I have a halftime show hot take that's not just about Kendrick Lamar. It's about Super Bowl halftime shows in general. They're all fine. They're all pretty good, as a matter of fact. I get if Kendrick Lamar isn't for you, then that halftime show was not for you. I understand all of that. I personally find it as exciting as like Katy Perry's Left Shark? No, I thought that was cartoonish and way more fun. I thought Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, Bruno, like I thought those were more fun than what Kendrick Lamar was doing. But Kendrick Lamar is like a Pulitzer Prize winner, and like, you know what I mean? Like lyrically speaking, he's as good as they come in the rap game as far as popular rappers go. And I just like music. So I have never, ever disliked a halftime show. And I mean that earnestly and honestly and completely. I thought the halftime show was fine. I thought it was fine.
Throw in the obligatory, nobody's done it well since Prince did it back in the day. Just
yeah, right.
To
well,
make
and the when is the day that we're gonna get a 90s country music on? Like, I get it. I work for the country music radio station, CJ. I think that'd be awesome to have like a Garth, a Kenny, a Tim McGraw, a George, like just run. I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
But because that would be amazing, in my opinion, doesn't mean that this was bad. It might mean that you don't like it, which is fine. That's totally okay. But that doesn't mean it was bad. That's my halftime show hot take is I don't think there's been a bad one since in my lifetime. I can't think of one.
I think the thing is with a lot of halftime shows is I think people when they're bad, if you don't like the musician, you're just going to think it's bad, and that's whatever.
Yes.
I'm with you. I just don't care. I'm not like even a concert guy, like huge. Like I've never really been to a ton of concerts. That's not something me and like my wife, when we have a musician that we both like, we're like, oh my gosh, let's go to a concert. That's just not who we are. That's not what we want to do. So like I think people sometimes overhype the concerts. Like when they hear a guy and they're like, or a girl, and they're like, this is like, they expect it to be this giant thing. And it's like, you guys realize that it's halftime of a football game. They don't have time to get really creative. They have they have to do a 10-minute show. How much do you expect them to do in 10 minutes when they have to like logistically set it up and take it down in time to fit the Super Bowl? Because this is TV and you don't have time to mess up the ad package and kind of how produced like the game needs to flow. You know what I mean? Like there's I think people over expect and then get under delivered on the Super Bowl. And whether that's the people hyping up the guy, whoever's performing, if they get overhyped by media, they get overhyped just by general fans, that's whatever. I think that's a big reason why I just don't. Yeah, they're all whatever. They're all there.
I liked it. Was it my favorite one I've ever seen? No, but like everybody the whole time and kind of like jammed. You know what I mean? We had like a mini dance. We've had a mini dance party at our house for the Super Bowl for however long my kids have been old enough to appreciate that there's music on. So, no, the vitriol that extends towards the Super Bowl halftime show is, to me, pretty much always unfounded. Although if you don't like that kind of music, then I totally get it.
Right.
Then Kendrick is certainly not for you if you're not into that kind of music. I get it.
Just watch the 1995 Travis Tritt halftime show on YouTube, come back, and then you're fine.
Yeah, right.
Then you're good. But anyway, I mean, overall, I think Kendrick Lamar, was fine. Za SCA, I'm not quite sure how you say her name or like her stage name. I'm sorry, Miss Za or Miss SCA. But everybody was expecting maybe Taylor Swift's going to join in. They're going to do Bad Blood and they're going to do it at halftime. And realistically, that was never going to happen. Taylor Swift, doesn't play second fiddle to anybody on this kind of stuff. She's not going to show in to make an appearance. If she's going to do it, she's going to do the whole dang thing. Like,
yes. And she's a fan.
Right.
And Kendrick is not doing that. Kendrick's not going to do Taylor Swift's song.
No, right now his PR team's making sure his image is keeping him looking as tough as possible. And he's not going to join in with Taylor Swift on that. He doesn't need the Swifties right now.
It's the right time for the wrong guy. Wasn't that the line?
Yeah.
The right time for the wrong guy. Amazing. And then he killed Drake, which was, watch 80,000. How many people in that stadium? 80,000 people.
200 some million watching. Yeah.
All singing it with him at the
he doesn't say it. He if you notice when his critique, every once in a while he would say a word, and the word that could potentially be incriminating / if you really wanted to get petty about it, maybe defamatory. he stops and he lets the crowd say it.
Amazing.
And that does more damage than anything. But Sock came up. All the Lights, by the way, is a really great song that I really do like out of those two. They made it for the as a white guy in central Minnesota, going to say this, who saw the Black Panther movie at the Bemidji Theater. They made that movie for the Black Panther movie. It is a really good song, and I really do like it.
Sure.
I thought her part on it was really good. So when she came in, I was like, oh, this is good. They're going to do All the Lights.
Yeah.
And whatever. And then they finished with Not Like Us, and then you get out of there. But anyway, that is what it is. Anyway, last part is that you got to talk about are the commercials. Any stand out to you?
The one in our house that was the funniest was and I quote, "Oh my gosh, look at that seal's face." I don't even remember what it was for. Was it like was a Mountain Dew commercial? And I was like, boys, that guy's name is Seal. So they put Seal's name on a seal's face, and they're like, that's ridiculous. So that in our house, that was the favorite one last night.
You get the John Hamm from Mad Men, like with the easel board right next to him, and he's like pitching an idea, and it just says Seal as a seal on it.
Yeah.
That's how that marketing meeting went.
It was good. That one was probably the one that stood out the most. I don't know. There were a lot of I will jump on the bandwagon that the commercials are worse and worse every single year.
Yes, they are, because they basically just devolve into, we got a celebrity to do a thing that's weird, or we got them to do something from a commercial that happened.
There's like also unbelievable expectations for these commercials. There were a lot of I'm not saying these things aren't important. I want to say this right now. There were an unbelievable amount of just straight up religious or news commercials. Like there were
almost like they were public service announcements more
for the network. I mean, the game was on Fox, so there were what felt like a half a dozen Fox News commercials, and that's just boring because it's the news. Who cares? And then a lot of religious commercials, and I mean, what are you gonna have Moses and Jesus and John the Baptist do a Budweiser commercial? That's not how that's gonna work. You know what I mean? So like there were
that, but some ad executive is like, wait a second.
They just heard that right now. I want credit for that if they're gonna take it. So there were a lot of those in the first half too, that just takes up time for things that I thought could have possibly been funnier.
Yeah, exactly. So I think too, it's what's the Dorito one where the kid like slaps the guy and he says, don't mess with, the Doritos commercial from a long time ago where the kid like, don't mess with my mom, but don't mess with my Doritos or something like that.
Yeah.
That commercial, we kind of peaked with that one. But the other thing is, I think most commercials, the expectation for a Super Bowl commercial is a little high. I thought
facial hair. Sorry, I know I just cut you off. A lot of facial hair. Eugene Levy was on and his eyebrows flew away. And then they had everybody who's famous for a mustache had their mustaches fly away. I'm like, that's the same commercial with different bodies of hair.
Uh-huh.
So I thought that was a weird kind of theme for the night, but sorry, I interrupted.
No, the only one that stood out to me that I was like, thank you. I was waiting for an ad company to figure this one out. Is the Angel Soft toilet paper being like, hey, we took this time out of here so you can use the bathroom. Go to the bathroom now. Here's 30 seconds. And it's just a countdown with like their logo and some like little, like their baby mascots like flying around or something. And it's just ticking. It's like, hey, you got 30 seconds, man. Go to the bathroom. This is your chance right now. We did this for you. And It's like, yeah, obviously. I mean, any company could have did that and been like, yeah, that's a cool ad. But again, on brand, the fact that it's toilet paper being like, go to the bathroom right now. Awesome. You're welcome.
Yep. Perfect your time.
That's perfect. Exactly. Somebody said the University of Wyoming took out a Super Bowl ad and they paid probably like, $3 million for that 30-second spot. And someone's like, wouldn't that $3 million have gone to better? Because it was like for their athletics. Wouldn't that have gone better? They just put that $3 million into NIL. No, we're going to use it on a Super Bowl ad because some old head is like, you know what? We need a Super Bowl ad. That'll be a big swing. It's like, can we just use this to fund stuff in our own department and like make it look better and make it more? No.
Wyoming that Josh Allen isn't playing in a Super Bowl.
They booked that ad a long time ago.
It's a petty $3 million.
They were hoping that Josh Allen would be in there.
That's probably what it was, right? They anticipated that the Bills were going to make it finally.
Mm-hmm. I think that was
the Bills.
Rip. All right, let's wrap things up. It's a Monday, so we do this thing, Corey, called Immaculate Grid Monday. We are going to be quick on this. While I'm pulling it up, Corey, just explain to the good folks at home what an Immaculate Grid is.
Immaculate Grid looks like a tic-tac board. Tic-tac board. Tic-tac? Tic-tac? Tic-tac-toe. There we go. 3 categories across the top, 3 down the side, and you just need to find the common thread where those categories intersect. So here we have the San Francisco Giants, the Tampa Bay Rays, and an all-star across the top. And then down the side, we have the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Philadelphia Phillies. It's always funny when those two teams play each other, by the way, on TV early in the game, because they'll do the Pittsburgh Pirates, and then they'll do the score 0-0, and then they'll do the Phillies, and it says poop on your TV. That's always funny. And then the last category is the Houston Astros.
All right. I like how you found a way to sneak that in there.
Well, that's true, and it's awesome, and I love that it goes viral every time those teams play.
Every single time. They call it the poop game, and everybody gets excited.
Yep.
San Francisco, there's a sicko score, which means how like fine-tuned do you want to get? Like, do you want to get like a guy that only Zeke knows played baseball in the 1930s? Or do you want to just go pretty basic? I think pretty basic, Corey. San Francisco Giant, Pittsburgh Pirate, it's Barry Bonds, right?
That's the obvious answer, and I run with it. Might as well.
Bobby Bonds.
Yeah, just click the wrong one. Let's get it right where we can, because we have blown it the last 2 times on what we thought were obvious answers. Right. And our philosophy is right. If we know for sure and we can get a sicko score, the lowest possible score possible, we try. Otherwise, we just take the obvious answer and move on.
Okay, let's take an obvious answer here. Who do we have for a let's go a Philadelphia Philly who's an all-star? There's a whole bunch of names we can list down here.
Hold on. Isn't Tampa and Pittsburgh, isn't that Snell? Did Snell play for Pittsburgh?
No. Chris Archer. You're thinking of Chris Archer.
Is who I'm thinking of.
Twins legend Chris Archer. There we go.
Yes. All right. And I contributed here. Now I'm done. The rest are yours.
All right. Pittsburgh Pirate, who is an all-star, McCutchen. We'll be done.
Yeah.
Andrew McCutchen. Let's not think too hard about this. Only 10%.
Unless you want to do Jason Kendall or something. No, it's too late.
Russell Martin.
I'm fine with McCutchen on every answer every single time. I love that guy.
McCutchen never made an all-star as a Philly, I don't believe, but he did play there. So we didn't have a chance to quite lock those in.
Sure.
But a Philly who's an all-star, you could go Bryce Harper, you could go Jimmy Rollins, you could go Ryan Howard, Chase Utley.
Doesn't matter. Whichever one you're typing, so whichever one you want.
Ryan Howard.
Yep. Ryan Howard was fun. Don't click Zimmerman. Okay.
Ryan Howard. Boom. Only 6% Ryan Howard. Too many people must have went with Bryce Harper, huh?
Yeah.
Houston Astro, who's an all-star. Correa, Bregman, Altuve,
in Jeff Bagwell, Craig Biggio, Ken Caminetti,
Lance Berkman.
Oh, do him.
Are we sure he's an all-star?
Carlos Beltran.
Are we going Lance Berkman?
God, he had to have been an all-star. Oh no, I'm nervous now.
4%, Lance Berkman.
Nice.
Yankees legend Lance Berkman.
I loved Lance Berkman.
Roy Oswalt.
He had a weird swing.
Yeah, he did.
It's just like, I don't know, he just kind of like windmill there. Not windmill, that's not the right word. Just as like his follow through is just always very interesting to watch, I thought.
Mm-hmm. We'll have to YouTube it after.
Shout out Lance Berkman.
It's
going to be much harder for me, I got to be honest. These remaining 4.
Yeah, we're starting to kind of the thing when you have 2 National League teams, as a fan of an American League team, you just don't think about them that often.
Yep.
A Giant who was Philly, a Giant who is a Philly. Chase Utley never played for them. He played for the Dodgers. Jimmy Rollins never played for them.
All right. How about just some guys?
If you do Giant / Astro, does Carlos Correa make that list, or does that not count?
Probably doesn't count.
I
can't imagine that. He never signed, right?
Yeah, the physical failed.
Yeah. So, like, all right, here's some like, I'm trying to think about Twins guys here. Like, did AJ Pierzynski get a moment with Philadelphia? Did Francisco Liriano? Did Roy Oswalt? Did he play for both of those teams?
Right. Did Kaya? I'm thinking Tampa Bay here too.
Ben Revere, did he play for either of those teams?
Ben Revere played for the Phillies.
So I'm saying this is the only way I can do this is by going through former Twins players, unless I have an immediate knowledge. But I'll struggle with this.
I know this. Now we're running into something here. Oh, with the Astros, I'm trying to think.
I know that. Oh, what's his name? Jeff Burr. It's a third baseman. What was his name?
Jeff.
Can you type in so I can see some options?
For which one? The San Francisco Astro?
And Philly.
Oh, San Francisco Philly. Okay, Jeff.
I think it's Jeff B.
Bagwell.
DBU.
Burrows.
Do BE.
Jeff Bellevue. Jeff Bennett. Jeff Berblinger. Jeff Bettendorf.
It's probably not Jeff is the problem. Pat Burrell.
Pat.
Maybe.
Pat Burrell. BU. Yeah, from 2000 to 2011.
Does that name ring a bell? Is that right? Does that seem right to you?
If it seems right to you, it seems right to me. It does not.
To me, it doesn't seem right to me. I just had an inkling, a little tickle. You know what I mean?
Right.
We can keep that one here in case lightning strikes, and we can come back to it.
Yeah.
But that's where my.
So your head thinks he was an Astro or your head thinks he was a Giant and a Philly.
Yes. But hold on. If we have other ones that we can get to, let's go ahead and save this one.
Okay. A Philly and a Ray. This is a tough one.
Did it Uptons? Did Carl?
Oh, and Upton's a good answer. Did BJ Upton? Manny Ramirez played for, but he didn't play for Philly or Houston because Manny had like a cup of coffee with Tampa, and then he just retired.
Sure.
Like, does Cameron Maybin? I mean, he's an immaculate great answer. He played for like half the league.
How about like a guy like Zobrist? He went on. He kind of seemed to be a guy who bounced a little bit.
He went to Tampa Bay and Chicago, and then I think he retired there.
And that was it
with the Cubs. Yeah.
I wish I was just better at like pitchers.
Yeah, because I mean,
the thing is they would have had to start at Tampa and go to Philly because they wouldn't have been the other way around.
Right, exactly. Or if they did, it was when they were a minor leaguer, so it doesn't count. Let's see.
Like Casimir did he? Did Casimir have a?
Oh, Scott Casimir's another great answer. Casimir played for Oakland. He played for the Angels.
Did Jamie Moyer play for these teams? Jamie Moyer was around for half a century.
Right.
These are hard, man.
They are really hard. Okay, so we are looking for a Ray who played for the. What will we say? A Ray who played for the.
I don't care.
Astros because Casimir did kind of play for. Casimir did play for Houston. It was like pretty recent. I'm sure. I think. You know what? Let's go with it.
Let's do it. Let's give it a shot.
All right, Corey, you're putting your reputation on the line here.
I guess so. I thought I was with Pat Burrell, but that's fine. Let's do it.
Scott Casimir as a Houston Astro and as a Tampa Bay Ray. Wah!
Boom.
We are in.
Okay.
Let's go.
Narrowing it down here a little bit.
Narrowing it down.
Can you do Justin Verlander for this one? For the Astros and Giants, can you go this early?
Does he actually have to play a game in their uniform? I feel like he actually has to play a game.
Oh, well, players must have. Yeah, it says right at the bottom.
Players must have played a regular season or playoff game for that team to qualify.
So we can't do Verlander yet.
Tap on a logo or category for help. San Francisco Astro. Who have
Hunter Pence? Did
Hunter Pence. Yes, he started out with the Astros and he was part of those Giants teams. Hunter Pence. Actually, I think Pence played for both of these teams.
For Philly too?
Yeah. But was it for Hunter Pence? Did he start out with Houston?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. There's so much orange going on here that I sometimes get confused about if it was only San Francisco or if he played in Houston too.
Let's just go for it. Oh, okay. All right.
We're finding names here. I mean, even though that's 17%, not a very good number, I'm going to feel great about that the rest of the day.
That is a poll.
The only thing that will feel better is if Pat Burrell ends up being right.
I mean, you're on a run. Do we want to go with Pat Burrell for the Giant Philly?
Do you have any Philly Tampa Bay options?
Philly Tampa Bay. Not really. Tampa Bay is such a hard organization to tab down. Just trying to think of guys who have cycled through. Nelson Cruz never played for Philly. Jim Thome never played for Tampa. Delman Young never played for the Phillies.
Did Shane Victorino ever play for the Rays at the end? Maybe
he played for the Red Sox for sure.
Yeah,
Victorino. Did Victorino ever play for Oakland?
I don't know. Let's see who else. Carlos Delgado. There's some first baseman here who that Ryan Howard.
Right.
That feel like would fit the bill here, but
we need something here. This is gonna eat at me.
If this were a video, if this were like a reel, it would this is where it would cut in and say 1 year later with the SpongeBob thing.
Yeah, and then it's just us still in the same spot with like big giant beards. Okay. Which one did you think Pat Burrell fit into?
San Francisco and Philly.
Let's knock him off the list. Let's see. Is he?
Well, come on, be right here, Corey.
You are on fire today.
Gosh, that makes me feel really good. I'm done here. This last one's yours.
Oh, okay. Tampa and Philly. Wheeler, no. Cole Hamels never played for them. Castellanos never played for them. Some of their guys on the World Series. Roy Halladay never played for Tampa. Rollins never played for Tampa. I'm trying to think like catcher, like somebody who just bounced around. Who did David Price never played for Philly?
Henry Blanco. Did he play for those teams?
Henry Blanco?
Remember him? Remember Twins catcher Henry Blanco?
No, I do not.
I feel like there's a Henry Blanco. I know he went to the Cubs, so maybe that's the pinstripe thing that's throwing me off. But I feel like there's a Philly thing there. Who's the first baseman for Tampa? Carlos Mencia. Carlos
Delgado. Ian. Carlos. Who is just a good immaculate group?
Isn't there a bopper like see, this is, am I confusing the Phillies and the Reds? Like Sean Casey?
Sean Casey played for the Reds. Yeah.
Adam Dunn also played for the Reds.
Yep.
Dang it.
The Phillies have taken chances on a lot of they've had a lot of guys run through their team. I mean, there was a point where they're just bad too for a lot of the 20 teens. So it's really hard to like remember anybody recently who played for Philly. I mean,
Mike Redmond play for Philadelphia?
That's a good question. I feel like he played for Florida.
No, that's what it was. See, I'm confusing red teams and Florida teams right now.
Right. I mean, who's like a Victor Martinez, like an Omar Vizquel? Like, who are some of these guys that are just like they've played for every single team? How about like LaTroy Hawkins? He played for Philly, didn't he?
Gosh, man, I remember him with Colorado.
Yeah, he was with the Mets, I think.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm trying. This Tampa Bay is hard because they've been mostly not relevant. And
right.
Philly's hard because I don't pay attention to the NL East even a little bit.
Do
you have an inkling on anybody? Like, is there a position that I need to be thinking about?
I'm either starting pitcher pretty much is the one, but Blake Snell is gone. Like Blake Snell is not.
Did Cliff Lee go there? Did Cliff Lee have a? He was Cleveland and then Philly,
right?
Did he go to Tampa at all? I don't think so.
Not.
Irvin Santana, Johnny Cueto, any of those like bounce around guys?
Johnny Cueto. I mean,
it was like a.
He was a logo for help. I don't know what that quite means. Tampa Bay, that doesn't help. It just gives the eras that they.
Okay.
That doesn't help.
It's gonna be someone annoyingly recent.
I know it's gonna be somebody. It's like, how come you didn't think of that guy? Just for the sake of.
How about like a Boone? Did one of the Boone brothers play for both teams? Did Brett Boone play for both of those?
It's a good question. I don't know.
Aaron was in Cincinnati for a while, right?
Yeah, Brett Boone, famous twin.
Yeah. I'm fine with a guess here.
I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine with just
give it your best effort.
Let's go like this isn't right. Let's just do Ben Revere because we know he crosses one of the boxes. Darn it.
So how do we find out the answer now?
Rays who played for the Phillies. Who played for the Rays and the Phillies? Jose Bautista, Julio Franco, Pat Burrell also could have made that list.
Really interesting.
Asdrubal Cabrera.
Yeah.
Grady Sizemore.
Oh. Yeah, those are tough, man. I don't know that I would have.
I'm looking through some of the list here. Wilson Ramos played for both of these teams. Drew Smiley. Trying to look at pitchers. Jose Alvarado.
He plays for the Pelicans, doesn't he?
Yes. Joaquin Benoit. Jake Diekman. Jeremy Hellickson.
Hellickson is honestly, that's probably the name.
Right. Darn it.
That's a random ass name.
Right. All right, let's get out of here, huh?
Yeah, I think let's get out of here.
Morning Sports Desk powered by Pizza Ranch, FunZone Arcade. See you tomorrow.
Powered by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Follow the Morning Sports Desk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch every show on YouTube.